The diplomatic station Harmony's edge drifted silently through the void between stars, its rotating sections creating artificial gravity for the dozens of species that called it home. Captain Marcus Chen had been stationed there for 3 years, serving as humanity's representative in what the Galactic Council euphemistically called cultural exchange protocols. In reality, it was humanity's probationary period, a test to see if the youngest species in known space could play nicely with others. Most days, Marcus found the work tedious. Endless meetings about trade regulations, territorial disputes over asteroid mining rights, and the occasional heated debate about whether humans were sufficiently evolved for full membership in the Council. The other species treated humanity with barely concealed condescension, viewing them as aggressive primitives who had stumbled into space travel through luck rather than wisdom. Everything changed the day he met Jihan. She was Vorthaki, a species known throughout the galaxy for their mathematical genius and cold logic. The Vorthaki had solved faster-than-light travel equations that had stumped other civilizations for millennia, and their crystalline cities were marvels of geometric perfection. They were also, by all accounts, completely emotionless, a trait they wore as a badge of superiority over what they called the Chaos species. Jihan served as the Vorthaki's senior researcher on the station, her tall, slender form often seen gliding through the corridors with purposeful efficiency. Her skin had the characteristic pale blue tint of her people, and intricate silver patterns traced along her temples, marks that indicated her high intellectual rank. Like all Vorthaki, she wore flowing robes that seemed to shift color based on the light, creating an almost ethereal appearance. Marcus first encountered her in the station's central library, where she was reviewing terraforming data with the mechanical precision her species was famous for. He had been looking for information about human agricultural techniques. Apparently, several council members were curious about Earth's unusual biodiversity. "Excuse me," Marcus had said, approaching her workstation. "I'm looking for the xenobotany section." Jihan had looked up from her holographic displays, her large, silver eyes studying him with scientific interest. "You are the human representative," she stated. "Not a question, but an observation. Your species' plant cultivation methods are inefficient." "Inefficient, maybe," Marcus replied with a smile. "But they've kept us fed for thousands of years." "Survival is not optimization," she responded, turning back to her work. "Your methods waste resources and produce irregular results." Most humans would have taken offense, but Marcus had learned to read between the lines during his time on the station. Among the Vorthaki, criticism wasn't personal, it was simply data. Over the following weeks, Marcus found himself seeking out Jihan's company. Their conversations were initially purely professional, but gradually evolved into something more complex. He would share stories of Earth's chaotic beauty, storms that painted the sky in impossible colors, forests that grew without mathematical precision, oceans that moved according to ancient rhythms rather than calculated efficiency. Jihan listened with what Marcus began to recognize as fascination, though she would never admit it. The Vorthaki didn't experience curiosity in the way humans understood it, but something in her questions suggested a mind grappling with concepts that didn't fit her species' rigid worldview. "Your species embraces randomness," she observed one day as they stood in the station's observation deck, watching a nebula slowly rotate in the distance. "It should lead to extinction, yet you thrive. The mathematics are puzzling." "Maybe that's because life isn't just about mathematics," Marcus suggested gently. "Everything is mathematics," she replied automatically, but there was less certainty in her voice than usual. The breakthrough came during the Festival of First Contact, an annual celebration where each species shared aspects of their culture. Marcus had been dreading it. Human culture often seemed crude and primitive compared to the elegant traditions of older civilizations. But as he watched the Vorthaki delegation perform their traditional convergence dance, a precisely choreographed display of mathematical principles, he was struck by an idea. The next day, he approached Jihan at her workstation, carrying a small wrapped package. "What is this?" she asked, examining the colorful paper with scientific interest. "It's called a gift," Marcus explained. "Humans give them to show appreciation or friendship. No calculation required." Jihan carefully unwrapped the package, revealing a simple music box, an antique from Earth that Marcus had brought with him years ago. It was nothing sophisticated, just a small wooden box that played a melody when opened. The tune was Clair de Lune, soft and slightly melancholy with the gentle imperfection that came from mechanical music boxes. What is its function? Jihan asked, turning the box over in her hands. It doesn't have one, Marcus admitted. It just makes music. Some humans find it beautiful. Jihan opened the box and the delicate melody began to play. For a moment, nothing happened. Then something extraordinary occurred, something that would be talked about in diplomatic circles for generations to come. Jihan began to tremble. Her silver eyes, normally so controlled and calculating, filled with what could only be described as tears. Her breathing became irregular, and she stared at the music box as if it contained the secrets of the universe. I don't understand, she whispered, her voice breaking. Another impossibility for her species. The mathematical relationships in this melody, they serve no logical purpose. They follow no optimization protocol. Yet, she paused, struggling with concepts her language had no words for. Yet, Marcus prompted gently. Yet something within me responds to them. Something I did not know existed. She looked up at him, confusion and wonder warring in her expression. What have you done to me? Marcus sat down beside her, choosing his words carefully. I think maybe you're feeling something, Jihan. Emotion. Beauty for its own sake. Vorthaki do not feel, she insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. We calculate. We optimize. We achieve logical outcomes. Maybe, Marcus said softly, there's more to intelligence than pure logic. Maybe wisdom includes understanding that some things don't need to be optimized to be perfect. Jihan stared at the music box for a long time, tears still streaming down her face. The first tears of Vorthaki had shed in recorded history. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, softer somehow. My people will not understand this, she said. They will think I am damaged. Are you? Marcus asked. She considered the question with the thoroughness her species was known for. But now there was something else in her analysis, something that couldn't be quantified or calculated. No, she said finally. I think I am becoming more than I was. The music box continued to play its simple melody, and in that moment, Marcus realized that humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy might not be their technology or their science, but their ability to find meaning in meaninglessness, beauty in imperfection, and connection across the vast mathematical precision of space. Later that day, Jihan submitted a formal request to study human culture, beginning what would become the first cross-species emotional research project in galactic history. The simple gift had not just moved an individual, it had opened an entirely new field of scientific inquiry, one that would eventually revolutionize how the galaxy understood consciousness itself. And in the quiet corridors of Harmony's Edge, a human and a Vorthaki continued their conversations, exploring the beautiful chaos that existed in the spaces between pure logic and pure feeling.